underestimate the community, Chris.
There's one way to... Were we muted? Okay, we were muted. Welcome to the Q&A. Introductions have already happened. You can trust me on that. Right, so before we get anywhere, first things first. Of course, it is the last week. You can grab the Prime, I don't know what we're calling it, the Prime deal, whatever it is, promotion, I suppose. Free month membership with every Amazon Prime. It's a fantastic deal going on until, I think, Monday the 8th. So grab that if you haven't already. Aside from that, we also just announced, of course, the big Deadman event this summer invitational being in Los Angeles, Burbank, actually. I think that's June 1st.
July 1st.
July 1st?
Yeah.
Good, more time to prepare.
June the 1st is something.
I needed that.
Yeah, you got 3 weeks, Chris.
All right.
June the 1st is something else.
July 1st. Yeah, I think it's like, well, it's not our first time doing anything in the States. I think we did TwitchCon, obviously.
We did, yeah. So the whole point about doing it in the United States, from our point of view, is to figure out if there is an appetite for a RuneScape event in the US. And if there is, and it goes really well, then we'll probably be doing more of it. For all the people that probably have been to the last 2 Deadman tournaments are probably a bit upset all of a sudden that we're going to another country. We're going to be doing more in the UK as well, so we'll be back, don't worry.
Yeah, and we'll have news about tickets in the future. Somebody said Canada Day. I think July 1st might be Canada Day. I feel like I should know that. It might be.
If anybody here knows that, it should be you. Yes.
Well, I guess I get the day off.
Just kidding. Yeah,
I wouldn't want to miss it.
You can stay behind, it's fine.
All right.
Yeah, celebrate Canada Day here.
All right. Let's get into the questions then. Of course, we also have the Inferno teaser. That's a video we've made, kind of teasing some of the stuff that you'll see eventually with the Inferno. We'll play that towards the end of the stream. Moving on to the questions. All right, OSRS Icicle says, the free trade limit isn't in Old School Runescape. So can we fix the Play Around House games and treasure room chests so they can hold more than 1,500 coins?
I think that one got throttled not about trade limits, but because of a duping bug. If we can be really sure that there's nothing nasty going on in there, then sure, we can put the limit back up again. I reckon it's all right, but I'd hate to be wrong about that.
We have to check with Weath as well, because I think it might impact some of his stuff as well.
Given that we added the tip jar with a much bigger limit, hopefully he's okay with stuff in KOH. Also, I did plug that into the trade logs.
Good.
Galaxy says, could we please have a method that isn't abusing a bug to keep untrimmed skill capes? Even if you wouldn't be able to detect people's first 99s, that doesn't mean we shouldn't change the weird method people use when it comes to getting these capes. So I think right now, I think they can go to free to play, they can drop the cape, then get the level and pick up the untrimmed version, something to that effect.
I think they have to telegrab it.
Right.
It's
kind of weird.
It's a nice thing to be able to do, I think, isn't it, for people to be able to show this is the first cape I've got and prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the player's point is that they actually can't, because anyone who really wants to pretend can go to free to play, drop the cape on the ground, telegrab it back again after leveling, and they'd appreciate it if that were not the case. Or they could just take it out and then anyone can see an untrimmed cape anytime they please. Although I'm not quite sure what that would do in a poll.
Yeah, so I think the aim is, I guess, for some people, untrimmed Slayer cape, for example, being a good one to have.
Yeah.
Once you've got it, does it stop you wanting to get anything else to 99 because you want to keep that untrimmed Slayer cape?
Yeah.
In which case, I mean, the most disappointing thing about it is, as they said in the question, is we can't go back and look through what everyone else has done previously, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth for them.
If we were somehow able to tell which one was their first one, and well, then if that was the case,
if we knew it was their first one, we'd totally go there.
Yeah. Maybe I can have a chat with Matt.
I want to watch that.
Another Matt, obviously. One of the data guys who may be able to find out some information for us, because we obviously have save points of people's levels. If we can go back enough to see when people get their first 99. Don't know how possible it is, but a data warehouse.
Was stuff going into that as far back as 2013?
We made it
It should all be kicking around.
Made it like 6 weeks without any word data, anything to do with data at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must have been away for a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks.
All right. Speaking of questions, guys, feel free to post them in the chat. Mod Tom H is grabbing them. I think we have one right here from Juicebox. Says pet sounds. Option to mute them.
I believe it's only the God Wars dungeon boss pets that have the sounds, because I made the mistake when I had an update come out. I filled my inventory of pets and killed myself to go have
not
them
a
running
mistake.
around, and it was
Oh god.
That's
Bandos
not a
pets that
mistake,
all make
yeah.
these stomping sounds, and when you've got so many of them, it's just incoherent. But
That must have been awesome.
it was awesome for me, but not for everyone else. I would see, because it's so inconsistent whether they have sounds or not, we could just remove the sounds,
Sure.
Rather than-
in fact, we did that for Krill, didn't we?
possibly. I
That's-
cannot remember
It's
that.
the opposite of what he's asking, but I actually prefer that. So
Well, what the player wanted was a toggle engine job. So let's address what we can do.
Yeah, so I thought if it's now 3 out of 36 pets that have sounds, it will probably make sense just to remove it from the 3 rather than toggle it, and then people going, but I want sounds on this pet, and yeah, no.
okay.
Oh, what they'd really like, I suspect, is sounds only on your own pet. Then when somebody else clomps through the room with a Grador following them, then they don't have to put up with hearing it. But again, that's not something the engine expected all those years ago when it was written, so we cannot offer it now. However, taking all the sounds off would make the topic go away to a certain extent, if players were okay with that.
I think that is the way to go, in my opinion. They shouldn't be intrusive to other players. So.
We've gone to quite a lot of we've even had engine work to make them less intrusive for other players.
Yeah. We've done an
Okay.
awful lot to help that.
Makes sense to me.
Or we could just change them all to make that screeching sound.
Give everyone the Armadillo crossbow spec. I'll go with that.
All right. Moose says, can we see a change to Lucky Implings? Having caught over 100 since release, they provide very underwhelming loot, even if you're patient. Just got some suggestions here.
Just before we go with the suggestions, just on on this topic, Mod Lottie actually posted some data on this today. Very coincidentally, I don't think it's anything related to the fact that you had a question,
No.
but somebody got Ranger boots from a Lucky Impling and were asking if it's the best loot ever. In fact, Mod Lottie confirmed that 5 Ranger boots have been obtained previously from Lucky Implings, and the best one ever was the golden bucket helm a long time ago when it was worth about 200 mil or so.
Wow.
So there have
loot
been
indeed.
some good loots, but they're fairly rare because there's only a 1 in 5 chance you get like a massive reward, a 1 in 5 chance you get an elite reward. Often you're going to get an easy reward, which is not very good.
So how common are those implings? Because if
They're-
they're not, if they...
They're particularly rare.
Currently, their spawn rate, he's asking to increase the spawn rate to 5 times as rare as a Dragon Impling rather than 10.
What if we go in the other direction? Keep them rare, make them even possibly a bit rarer, but make them call a version of the treasure trail reward lists that doesn't have any resources on it, only has the uniques.
That was another suggestion. Remove runes and noted food from
I
drop
like that.
tables.
That would be a much nicer thing for the players rather than.
I know someone's gone to a lot of effort to make them be able to call the exact same code, which is really quite nice, but we can perhaps sacrifice it for this.
Yeah.
Chat is in favor. Fantastic. Dalek Cookie says, should I take Arclight to fight Scotizo? Some people are arguing Twisted Bow is better, I believe.
So, depending on how you're going to actually kill Scotizo, if I've been watching people kill it all day and seeing all the different mechanics and stuff, so if there are generally 2 best methods are Dragon Warhammer then Twisted Bow. If you don't have the Twisted Bow, then use an Arclight because it obviously helps when you can one-hit the altars around the side of the room. Generally with a Twisted Bow and a Dragon Warhammer, you're going to kill it before they even have that much of an effect. So take an Arclight if you don't have a Twisted Bow.
Well, not all of us have Twisted Bows, so.
So I'll just pull a 1.2 bill out of my pocket.
All right, well said.
Man, it with 1.2 bill in his pocket.
So following up on the Scotizo, why don't we address this here? Why is the Scotizo pet so common compared to other boss pets?
Okay, so we discussed the drop rates yesterday before we finalised everything for today's release. And we discussed what we thought about 1 in 65. Was a little bit discussion. We decided to stick with that rate as that was given. The reason it looks more common is because people have had effectively 4 weeks to store totems because they knew the update was coming. So the reason it looks like there's a lot and there's so many posts on Reddit and there's people running around with Skotizo pets is because they've had so much time to get the totems. As soon as those people either have the pet or run out of totems, it's going to go to the intended rate, which is going to take a long time.
To clarify, when you say go to the intended rate, you don't mean that we'd be changing any drop
No,
rates?
no, we wouldn't. I mean, as in when people have to earn their totems from scratch to be able to go for Skotizo itself. So
They'll be doing that a lot slower than at the moment when they've got a bank full of totems they've been stockpiling for a month.
One thing I think we've learned in hindsight is that next time, when we announce it, we would say that we'd add a different totem in future so that your current ones don't apply.
Well done.
And that way you're not punished by using them before the update. So, unfortunately, by the time we realised that that might have been a good idea, it was too late and everyone had already stockpiled them and we couldn't change them.
How long would it take to get 65 totems?
I think I've said, I cannot confirm this, but the numbers bouncing around are something in the region of about 10 mil Slayer XP.
I was seeing like 10 to 12 million.
Which some people are asking for like rates of at least 1 in 200, if not higher. At which point you're looking at, you really want people to go out and only have a chance at Skotizo pet after 50 mil Slayer XP, which is a little bit ridiculous, and even then not in sync with other pets. So it's but pet rates are always a tricky thing to go. You can go one way, you can go too high, you can go too low. But we did feel, and we have seen a lot of feedback from the community, that we have roughly got it right.
This is definitely an unusual one, given that you can only go for Skotizo when you've got a totem, and that's not so easy to come by.
That's why it probably helped, the fact that you could farm them before we released the pet. Obviously, every other pet has never had that opportunity.
That's true.
With this excellent Bloodhound, where you could only get enough clues to get one chance straight away. So.
Yes.
I mean, chances are we likely won't be doing a post-launch release of a pet in the future anyways, as since Skotizo we've learned that they just want a pet with everything. So there's a good chance every big boss like that will have one, I don't know.
Although we never did rule out doing mini pets for the demi-bosses in raids. And there's some stuff that I really wouldn't mind seeing as a pet. Like
Yeah.
Vast and Mysterio looks awesome.
I think transmogs are something that we would do. I believe
What?
people having seen,
Oh, I see.
as in
Yes.
transmogs of pets that are already out.
Oh, of the pet. Phew.
So I think a lot of the one that's going to be commonly requested now is coursing as a release, and that's the Corp. Now that Skotizo is out and people have realised that we can go into that much detail with a small pet, but that would probably be for the artists to say how feasible it is.
Last I heard it was above the poly limit, Corp was. Unless we're making them...
I was under the impression because we didn't have an artist at the time of release, it wasn't necessarily viable at that time.
Well, we had Mon Alfred. We were just, a little time pressured, I believe. I forget the details, but oh well.
Wow,
Different
yeah.
devs since then.
How do you guys think you'd go about a raids pet? Like, the way I imagine it is that it's still the one pet, but you can transmog into the others once you've unlocked something from them each.
That would be a nice way of doing it. And also, we've got a lot more support for multi-form pets than we used to have. It's much easier for us to do things like it's being described.
Yeah.
Something we wouldn't have been able to try a thing like that a long time ago.
Either that, obviously, or one pet per boss, but it seems a bit excessive for just
I'm personally not a fan of adding in a pet for everything. Like people saying Barrow's pet, this pet, this pet.
6 Barrows
It's just
pets.
yeah.
Or none.
I don't want it to get to the point where somebody who hasn't played in a while logs in, goes to the Grand Exchange, and just sees this swarm of pets everywhere. And is just kind of put off by it. Unless we can toggle off seeing pets, which is just what's the point?
Indeed.
That's my opinion. Moving on. Narfo says, could you please make it so that challenge clue scrolls on treasure trails have a unified and consistent answering mechanic across all clue levels? For hards, you simply tell the NPC the answer, but for elites, you have to write it on a scroll and then hand it back.
I'm sorry, but the developer who made Elites did it in a different way to the existing methods. So, unfortunately, when I was developing Masters, it's something I wanted to change. I wanted to make Elites consistent with the others, but I just didn't get around to it. It was the amount of work involved to actually go and change that wasn't going to be a really quick job. So, unfortunately, it fell off the radar, but it's hard to actually find time to go and spend half a day doing that.
I see it being slightly more than half a day.
Quite
picking some of that
possibly.
stuff.
Like, yeah. I'd love them to be consistent, but it's going to take some time. Just finding a gap to do it, really.
Okay, that's fair. One Iron Knot says, can we make the stepping stone agility shortcut in Shiloh Village a hard diary requirement rather than elite? It makes no sense as the Cramja 4 gloves can already teleport you straight to Duradel, thus nobody actually uses the shortcut.
I would happily make it not even a diary requirement on that, to be honest.
I think when I put a stepping stone in the Shiloh Village River in RS3, it was just a agility shortcut.
Like, it's useful for people that might be fishing there, which I don't know how many people do fish there nowadays, but it's an agility shortcut. I don't know why you need suddenly fancy gloves to be able to use it.
Well, apart from the gloves, there's one in the wilderness a bit like that in the lava maze area.
But I think that one's that's more powerful, I think, though, isn't it? It's,
Yeah.
What reason do you need to get to the northern side of the Shiloh River other than to fish the trout and salmon there? It's not very useful.
I'm cool with changing it, though it's been a while since we saw the reduction of a requirement do well in a poll.
Well, a lot of support just now. That's
Good.
Twitch at least. Let's grab one from the chat, actually. DCM says, can we have overloads in Clan Wars?
It's already on the list of future polls, actually.
All right, nice.
He's busy.
I was going
Easy.
through it earlier.
Where are we at? Simo says, can the elves that recharge crystal equipment be contacted with contact NPC after talking with them with medium or hard diary complete?
I like that.
They could sing over the phone.
Yeah.
I do like that. That's cool.
Would you rather go with medium or hard, or?
I would say you could put like the teleport crystals to one diary and then the actual equipment to another one. Just kind of,
Seems a little odd mixing them up. No?
well, one's more useful than the other, but
Sure.
you could do it anyway. But yeah, I'm definitely up for doing something like that. That would be pretty awesome.
Oh boy, mixed feedback for medium or hard.
Might be one for a straw poll.
Sure.
It's going to come back exactly 50-50.
So that was
That'll be
using
a change.
NPC contact to contact the elves to recharge your crystal equipment. A rather nice perk. Would you rather that be medium or hard diary?
Or not at all. That's the
Or
case.
not at all? We can have a third option.
It's complicated now.
Do you need the question repeated, Mod Tom?
a condensed version.
Contact NPC elves to charge crystal equipment / teleport.
Too much. Don't know if you got it. All right, we'll have that
And
straw
anyone?
poll in the chat
Hard.
momentarily.
Medium or no requirement. Or not at all as well.
Okay. Ryan says, could the dialogue on the soul bearer be removed when sending an ensouled head to your bank instead of being displayed in the chat log? One of those days.
I can't actually remember what it says, but I'm sure it could be.
All right, easy enough. Where are we at here? Oh,
Been a
what
while
about
since we read
what about
that.
changing the first option on it to use or bank instead of check?
Again, it's been a while since I saw one of those. I can't remember what the options on it are.
Mod Tom H has broke the chat.
Oh, what'd you do?
Oh, there you go.
Computer is not happy.
It's probably working for you guys, but
Anyway, it depends what other options are on the thing. If we can rearrange it so that users at the top, I think that would be what they need, then sure. But I think it depends what else is on the thing.
okay.
I
makes
think
sense.
it should be all right.
Where are we at here? Snowy says, can you pull a buy 50 option to shops? It's about that time again. It's been like 2 years since I've asked this.
Yeah, funnily enough, I actually prepared the shop code for that when I put the sell 50 in there. And then I reread the question a bit more carefully and realised I didn't have to do that bit, so I left it out for the moment. But it'll be fine. The thing we've had to turn down is the request for a buy X. The shop code is recalculating the price every time you buy something, since prices do change with the stock, which means that we cannot quite so safely let you have an arbitrary number in there in case you rock up with a max stack of cash and try to buy billions, which would probably make the shop crash as it goes around an infinite loop. That's what this means. If on the other hand it's 50, that should be all right, and I think 50 should cover you for a lot of situations.
That
For
might
the-
be a tricky one to pass a poll.
a lot of things nowadays, I mean, in old school still revolve around buying from a shop and that taking time.
Revolve around.
Especially the Iron Man. We've got the results back from that straw poll using NPC contact to talk to the elves to recharge your crystal equipment, sitting at 55% for hard, 25% for medium, and 20% saying not at all.
So it's more people.
Quite a
want
lot of
it
support
than
for it.
not, so yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I wonder if we could shoehorn in a reason to have an astral rune sync or something when you were unlocking it or something.
Okay. Biter says, could we see random events be updated to be worth using? Currently, only a few are worth doing. Possibly having a high-level quest which changes the rewards to be based off of your total level, like the maze event.
A high-level quest to make random events good.
Do people
That could
like
be a
the
very
random-
interesting
I mean,
quest, though.
could
The
be,
sandwich
could
lady and like the river troll.
We did when we first talked about random events, about putting them into a retirement home and creating a retirement home to put them into.
Yes, I normally use a prison for that kind of thing rather than time. In fact, I think you might find some in the prison in Port Sarim. I might have gone and put some there, like Rick Turpentine.
My answer is, like, do people really want to be doing random events? I mean, some of them are frustrating, annoying, irritating. Some of them are more simple and easy and you can get them done in no time. But whether they're good gameplay or not is to be questionable, because they weren't designed to be great gameplay. They were designed to obviously be something a human can do and a bot can't.
So this question isn't.
If the rewards are really good,
Yeah.
will a player all of a sudden feel like, oh, I really should do it, and they might not want to really do it?
That's it.
That's
This
my
question is
argument.
asking for more stuff like the maze random, which is by far the best one. So
absolutely.
he's asking for rewards.
I was going to say something really interesting, completely forgot. Yeah, if we were to do a high-level quest, I'd rather spend the time doing Desert Treasure 2 or something rather than a random event
That
quest.
sounds somewhat interesting.
We don't have to unlock Metaphos. We could
We could do a random event quest.
We could, yeah, you can unlock the ability to get better herbs from Dr. Jekyll or something.
For what it's worth, in 09 when I did a big rework of the random events in RS3, I created a sort of big pink reward box which remembered your skill total at the time when you got it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, is there something funny about a big
No, I
pink reward
remember
box?
this. I remember this.
Oh, right. It wasn't about the big pink reward box. But it remembered what was in there. And when you opened it, you could choose whether you got ores or herbs or seeds or something. And the quantity you got and the quality came off your skill total, a bit like the maze. It took a little while to do, but it did address that particular request. The only thing, of course, is that if people would rather just not have the random events at all, that would be another way of going about it.
The problem with increasing the value of the events to be like the maze is that then turns every random event from somewhere between 25 to 110k.
Well, they don't come around that often, and it doesn't have to go quite as high as the maze. It just scaled like the maze scales.
New best money-making method in free-to-play.
Don't random events happen more frequently the more if you've just failed them as well? Or is that something that came later?
We took that out,
Fair enough.
I just wish they didn't happen in the wilderness.
Yeah.
That's another
but it was the
question.
case in RS3. I don't know what their deal is now, but we don't have that.
They don't have them at all.
Okay.
That would solve it.
Moving on. Let's grab this one from the chat. Raptura says, can the pre-EOC feature of loaning people an item for X amount of hours be added to Old School?
No, this one comes up every now and then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
I've never been a great fan because at the time when you couldn't lend an item, yes, it solved that problem. I think now when you are able to lend an item, it might stop the argument of I've given you an item to borrow and not get it back. But equally, it devalues that item because there's no reason to go out and get another one of those items because I can just lend it out and then start charging people a million.
Yeah, it created
GP
that.
an
It
hour
created
to
that
do it,
fault,
which
that
is-
weird market, didn't it?
The
Which is
buy
very
to let
nice.
market, rather like Cambridge property prices.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
And
but
no one likes buy to let property.
They don't seem to be very keen either.
during lending, wasn't that the time of the trade restrictions?
Yes, exactly, which
So
is
you
why it
had
worked at
to
that
give
point,
people
yeah.
like a bunch of junk, like unstrung bows and all that
Yeah.
crap. It was just, it's not fit for our game, I don't think.
No. Yeah.
Moving on then. Throwaway says, can we be allowed to create energy potions in raids? The shadow roots at the end of each floor could be dug up to give a shadow root secondary to create an energy enhance. Like the prayer enhance.
Didn't we once also have the idea of just using a gourd vial in the pool at the end as well instead?
Yeah, we then also had the idea that it was getting quite fast to get through a raiding dungeon, so we decided not to give them more run energy.
I think that still applies now, because if not, people are getting more efficient at raids. You know?
Well, that is the beauty of our players. They get really good at stuff.
We were
We like
speaking the other day. The first few posts after, well, not the first few, the first like dozen posts after releasing Zulrah, people saying this is way too difficult. Nerf it. This is the most difficult thing I've ever done. It's not even possible.
I can't wait for the Inferno then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's going to be a while before someone goes and does that with a bunch of flowers.
Yeah.
I can't wait
They
to be
will one day,
spammed
though,
for
that's
months that this is way
I
too
can't wait
difficult.
for the streamers to try it. In case you guys don't know, we have some of our biggest streamers and video makers joining us in the office on Monday and Tuesday. They're going to get to try the Inferno. I think we're going to give them like one life and see how far they get. So maybe they'll never even see the boss, but we'll see.
Man, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Times.
I've kept this design bottled up for so long. I can't wait to see people actually try and dig it on.
Yeah, you saw his
Unfortunately-
expression in the recent tweet he put out.
Unfortunately, we do have to keep everything a secret, so we can't stream that. But we'll have lots of video footage for post-release, and plenty of stuff to show you
I think
guys.
everyone in the entire team is more excited about Inferno than we've been with something for a long time.
It's
I think.
by far
Yeah.
my favorite update we've ever done.
Yeah, it looks
And that's
amazing.
like-
It plays amazing. It's everyone's really excited to find out what you guys think about it.
So I think we're a bit more excited for this than we were for raids, and we were pretty excited for raids.
I was excited for Last Man Standing. This to me is even bigger. It's crazy.
You're making me nervous.
It's always nice to meet the streamers when they come around as well.
When it comes out and you don't like it, at Jagex Kieran is the person who contacts.
No, guys, it's going to be really bad, so when it comes out, you'll all think it's amazing.
Oh dear. No, we're all very, very excited.
LMS memes, all right. Kilowa says, allow us to mount Bruma torches to unlit caves for permanent light sources.
I think that one's on the list for future polls already, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, rings a bell.
Quite a lot of work, I believe, isn't it? Finding all
It
those
might
different
not be
dungeons.
straightforward because it's the darkness system isn't set up to be able to say this one's going to work and this one's not going to work. It would need to distinguish and say, oh, you're in that lumbered swamp dungeon rather than this other one.
We'd basically be needing to take out the core of the darkness system and rewrite it. Mind you, have you seen its code? Somebody should.
I've seen bits of it.
Yeah, I'm not fond of it at all. Well, it'd be good for the code maintenance, and we would get something nice you could do with your Bruma torch. Although I'm not sure just how much long-term benefit you'd be getting for the dev time spent on tearing it all out and redoing it.
I do like the feature though. I think it's a nice little thing.
Same.
How much difference would that be compared to what we did with Zamorak?
Well, in the case of Zamorak, there was I think it was 100, transparency of 100 out of 255 rectangles sat on your screen, just being dark. And I think it's more in the dark areas. But on the other hand, the fact that you had to bring a light source was kind of part of the challenge, because it meant that you weren't going to be eaten alive by bugs or something. It seems like a thing worth having. I can see why they'd want it. And also, it would give a use for those torches.
Right.
Mod Ed has been collating some stuff that people have sent to him about use for those torches. So he might have a few other ideas, because I know he wants to do more with them, being a designer for Winston, so
Modhead comes back and all the winter Todd suggestions come in.
Yeah,
pretty much.
he was saving them. They're all him.
I could see that one being one of the biggest things we'd have time to do in a week's update, and yet it doesn't sound like a very big week's update from their end.
That's very true. Master says, any chance of buying packs of Slayer gems? This makes it a bit easier to buy the gems for Slayer rings.
Does anyone have a problem with Slayer gems being tradable at this point?
I never did. It's funny enough, whenever I've pitched that, people seem to back down from the idea, but I don't know why.
I think it solves this problem completely. I don't think any reason of them being untradeable, to be honest, apart from the fact they might look like a sapphire.
Well, Iron Man can't trade. But
So where we're going with
Who
this,
needs
though,
Iron Man?
where we're going, apart from the tradability, the point is, if an item is not tradable, we can't do a banknote of it. And if the thing comes in a pack of 1,000 from a shop, or 100, whatever it is, we can put in a pack. It needs to exist as a banknote, otherwise we can't get it out of the pack very effectively. So if we make it tradable, we can have a banknote. You can get them in bulk off the G if you're not iron, and we can add a pack to a shop quite easily. which would be what the player was asking for in the first place, I think.
If we can't, could we do a pack of 25? Seeing as you don't necessarily, you can use the full invent space for that.
Yep, you just do your not getting them all out of the pack.
Yeah. Could we get a straw poll on that, Tom? Would you like to see Slayer gems made tradable?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Heck, even the Eternal one's tradable. In fact, that's the only one that's tradable.
In the meantime, there was an idea that got some support, I think, over the weekend. PK Hell says, Pest Control Survival Mode. Keep the Void Knight alive for as long as possible whilst waves of monsters come out of the portals and try to kill the main Void guy. So you don't actually attack the portals, you just ignore them. Instead, you're more focusing on repairing the doors and the barricades, etc., and defending this guy from these swarms of monsters.
I think this is a really, really cool idea.
The cool idea part of this for me, was only having one life.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary because I would usually want to go in with like derrick bombing or something, but you'd really want to play it safe because if you die, you reset and you jump onto a different boat.
Alternatively, you could have you reduce your own rewards every death or something that discourages it. But if you die, would you say you lose completely? You don't get any rewards, even though you went in this big group?
I think he had an idea of saying something like you get 1 point per minute you've spent defending him, something to that effect.
Or we have rewards based on each wave, and as you go through waves, the reward builds up, and if you die, it takes you to the wave that you last completed and gives you a reward based on that wave.
Are you imagining this as a solo thing or still as a big group?
Definitely not as a solo thing.
No, do it as something as a group. I mean,
also, you wouldn't be able to bring in food, so you couldn't just go with 28 brews and a Vince bulwark and just.
No, I think this idea has got so much potential. I mean, there's details to work out, but I think it would be so much fun to see how far people can get.
Yeah.
As well, like the waves can get increasingly difficult. They can start spawning more creatures, and yeah, love it.
Okay, awesome.
It would give you a nice alternative to playing Pest Control the traditional way.
So what would we call it? There's just this one knight that's trying to survive as long as possible.
It's pest out of control, isn't it?
Defend the night.
One night stands.
Last night standing. New minigame. It's a meme already. We've got the results back from that. Would you like to see Slayer Gems tradable straw poll? 72%.
It's 72.
Yes, you've let us down, Twitch.
Oh. Stop spamming 73.
Oh, it's 73.
Oh, no.
and it's got 773 votes on it.
I should like to know what the objection is.
Memeception.
I think it's just people balancing out the 73. There are probably more than that. But.
Yeah.
Or straw polls froze.
Refresh
the poll, Tom.
There's no way it just sat on 773 and hasn't had another vote.
Well, apparently it has.
Actually has.
People have stopped voting on it for memes.
There's no way. Straw poll has gone down. Like, they went up.
Oh, there you go.
Sue was that. Who ruined it?
Someone
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
As for this idea of the pest control thing, let's speak realistically. How is this looking for dev time? Is this going to be like a massive project or?
Well, there's no graphics as far as I can tell. That helps a heck of a lot. In terms of the code, well, you'd need the creatures to be programmed to try and get to the night, which is not straightforward when you've got obstacles that may or may not be there. I know a lot of them try to do that already, but a lot of them don't try very effectively, and it wouldn't really be appropriate if they weren't. So, depends how much infrastructure you want, and rewards and overlays, head-up displays and such like.
In
I
terms
see it
of-
being, a couple of 2-3 weeks or something if it's trying to be quite elaborate.
Let's get it into the backlog, I
sounds
think,
fair.
shouldn't we?
And it would be a really
It's
nice,
worth hanging on to.
really
That
nice
sounds
change.
like a really cool idea.
It's like we've often avoided doing minigames just because it's.
Why?
I mean, even with this example, right? Pest control. We've got the existing minigame, and just making a slightly different version of it is still several weeks dev time. And make up one from scratch.
Yeah.
You see why it's such a big update for a big job for something that could be better spent, arguably.
There's a lot of crack the clue spam.
Oh,
What
so
do you
the
think,
reward for
Matt?
this would be Helm with Road
No,
Rage.
they want to crack the clue again.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out. I mean, the biggest problem that we've got right now with cracking the clue is trying to actually figure out when the year anniversary is, which I think we finally you managed to work out, didn't
About
you?
2 more months, and it'll been a year
Yeah.
since that final clue came out.
Now, the whole point about Crack the Clue was it was designed typically difficult So we could get to a stage in 12 months' time or 24 months' time where we can say, look, this thing's been in RuneScape for ages, no one solved it, and we can make a bit more noise about RuneScape and get more players interested in the game. So I think 12 months down the road, I think we'll probably do something, maybe give a proper hint out, because not a single thing.
Oh, wow. Release live stream sounds pretty sick to me.
Give a hint out, because I'm in two minds, you see. I could give the answer, and I could show people how they worked out, and watch everybody go, Matt, that's so easy.
We're way better off giving a hint than still letting people solve it.
Exactly, because I'm thinking, if we think about old school as a whole and what's best for getting people looking at old school and thinking how cool and different we are, creating this story around what Crack the Clue is, because there's no other game out there that's got this mystery going on for 12 months that no one's solved yet, and keep building upon that's quite a cool thing to do.
Unless we find that the mystery is that we accidentally deleted it and didn't notice.
don't give them that.
I heard you need to be skulled. No, you don't have to be skulled. And you need to
Oh, dear.
Can you get this out?
I should give context, otherwise this is confusing. It was one of my personal live streams, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago. They were spamming Crack the Clue, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you a hint. And I just took a sip of my water, and I was just like, there's your hint. But I wasn't actually giving a hint. And a lot of people took it very seriously, so I feel bad. Sorry for wasting time, but I didn't actually think anybody would take it as sarcasm.
Every time I post anything on Twitter, I always get somebody reply with, is that a Crack the Clue hint?
Yeah.
But your mouse was left over the skull.
I didn't even know.
And everyone was like, wait, that was the hint, not the water, it's the skull.
Of course, one of our staff has been tweeting pictures of maps with indicators on a lot lately. So maybe if you analyse all the maps in the You Are Here dev blog.
Yeah, just go spam, is it Jagex Genesis on Twitter? He might have some hint about maps.
Certainly he was showing you where to find drinks in that blog quite intensively. There's a lot in that blog about where to find drinks, which would link to what Chris was doing.
We can't talk about anything without people thinking it's a hint and going and thinking, wait, was that a reveal?
And spending
a week thinking it's on the
mine
right
was
track.
kind of just blatant sarcasm. I said it was a hint, which it wasn't, so I'm sorry. All right.
And the cool thing about it is it's 10 months down the road and people are still talking about it, which is quite a cool thing.
Certainly a lot of people nearly found it on 1st April.
Let's find another question. Where are we at here? Lee Harper says, minigame weekend suggestion. In the minigames tab, I think we might have an image for this one actually.
Ooh.
So in the minigames tab, you would include a highlighted weekly minigame, so just a little star next to it. There would be bonus rewards for things like Trouble Brewing. Other people were replying saying 1.5x Castle Wars tickets and stuff like that. What do you guys think?
So I believe it was Mod Ed was replying in this Reddit thread quite actively, and he did come up with a really good point. Is that what happens is you increase the playability of some of the mini games that aren't played, but of the ones that are, it reduces the average playable, and then people only go and do them at these certain times. So the hardcore Castle Wars players and people that just do it for fun will end up stop doing it for fun and purposely only go do it at these weekends, which effectively kills the minigame apart from 2 days a month.
What if as a player you can't play at weekends? You can only play during the week. You maybe work weekends, and that's the issue of some of this.
He's saying what about the players that are in that?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said what if we only let them play?
No, that's what I mean. I was like, some people work weekends and wouldn't be able to take part, and that's exactly, people like playing Castle Wars, but all of a sudden they feel like, oh, I'm wasting my time.
My concern with this was it feeling not quite like a daily, but more like a weekly.
Yeah.
And if we ever, for whatever reason, decide, oh, well, you need this many Castle Wars tickets for this, then people will definitely treat that as
like
a weekly.
For things like, for things like Void, that really does matter. And why would I go to pest control at this point when I can wait for seven more weeks until pest control's on rotation and go and do it?
So how did it go down when RS3 did pretty much this?
I thought it went well.
Yeah, they saw. I remember looking at the numbers. They had a large increase every month or every time they highlighted a particular mini game, and I think what Ed said was probably quite right. It went up, and then they only started focusing on that mini game when it was that week to do it.
And I think RS3 also had more distractions and diversions and such at the time.
Certainly did.
So the players were already used to perhaps that kind of methodology when it comes to certain things, which obviously our players aren't, and we do get a lot of vocal feedback whenever anything like that is discussed.
I think something like this might be more viable if we were to scrap the idea of offering extra rewards.
What I sort of looking at what they're trying to achieve by doing this. Are they trying to achieve more people playing that mini game, or are they trying to achieve a better way of getting the rewards that they want for maybe mini games that aren't played so often?
I think it's definitely just more people playing. Like House Wars in specific, the rewards aren't very generous.
But then in cases like Trouble Brewing, people will only purposely do it at that weekend if they do want the rewards, if they are trying to chase all the different rewards and stuff, so it does.
I prefer the idea of a centralised minigame shop, of when all minigames contribute to the same currency and all minigame rewards are basically in the same shop, and we balance all minigames to basically be equivalent. But that sounds very difficult.
I really like that idea.
It's impossible to get that right, and it will be one minigame that's just better than the rest. It's so difficult.
What we talked about before was the idea that the shop could contain, something that required you to pay 10 Castle Wars tickets, 100 Void points, and one thing from Trouble Brewing.
You turned up to Trouble Brewing, congratulations.
And that could get you something, and then you'd have to play all the mini games to do it. However, we couldn't find anything that people wanted in the shop at the time. We've not really tried since.
Yes, indeed.
Plenty of moving on in the chat at this point. Regardless, I think it's an interesting idea, but as we've said, with what we've seen, how it's worked
I
in
don't
their
think it's
game,
ever going to get to be a priority above all the other cool stuff we could be doing, really.
All right, next suggestion comes from Slayer Music 1, who says, only allow accounts that have completed the Giant Dwarf quest access to the Blast Furnace. Concerned with bots here.
This is one of those things that's very similar to
Eagle Peak?
Eagle Peak, where you have to complete Eagle's Peak to use hunter traps. You have to have enough quest points to be able to take the Dragonfire shield out of during that quest. It's a very contested thing within the community, so it's whether something like that's necessarily would pass a poll or not.
It's something to look at data-wise, like how many legit accounts use the Blast Furnace that haven't done the quest at the minute. And we can get that, we should be able to get that data, and then we can probably make a judgment call on whether it's needed or not. Or whether it's fair.
Talk to each other, and they will give us the answer to that.
If we consider the requirements of the quest, it doesn't have a lot.
No.
I think you have to do some crafting.
In fact, I think you have to start it to even get to the Blast Furnace.
That's right, you have to start it to enter Keldrim the first time. I was just looking for things like, combat requirements or magic XP. I don't think it's got anything of that sort.
Neither do I. That was the problem with Eagle's Peak, is that you did have, although you had to fight something ridiculously, and there was methods of doing it without getting XP and stuff, it took so long and people didn't really like it. So.
We might be all right with the Giant Dwarf, though, unless it gives something that we don't know about at this point.
33 mage requirement.
Oh, blast.
I remember this has came up before. Teddy grabbed something.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
From the guard.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, the guy's house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
Blast.
Fairness.
While we're on the topic of bots, I wanted to give a quick mention, as we did say so last Q&A. There was the topic of emblem farmers and bounty hunter. I said, all right, that's it. We've already made a stance on this. We're going to push it a bit more forward. And I said on Tuesday, we're going to go in and wipe them out. So we're going to start banning accounts that are doing this. There's a lot of people just making throwaway accounts doing this. And so we did that. So thanks to Mod Tyrant for giving me a hand with that. And we're actively on top of that to clear out those emblem farmers. So hopefully you shouldn't be seeing those anymore. They'll be continuing until it eventually stops, and then we'll have an automated system so I don't have to do it, and that'll be nice.
Don't forget, if you do see them, do report them in game. It does help.
There you go. Moving on then, there's an image with this next one from Best OSRS Suggestion, actually. Good name. Dragon Axe Ornament Kit. 1 in 10,000 chance of receiving from a bird's nest.
I don't think that's the best OSRS suggestion.
Is it a pretty good one at least, or?
It's a pretty one because it's going to got an axe with a golden bit on it, but...
Well said, brother.
It's a good job hatchets are so easy to install in our code base these days.
The thing is, if you get that, then you'll want one for Does the Dragon Pick have one or not?
That I think already does have a pretty version.
If it does already have one, then I guess an ornament kit of some kind.
So-
But don't forget, all the ornament kits generally come from clue scrolls, don't
So
they?
this ornament kit drops from a bird's nest.
Some come from Bounty Hunter.
Or
To
put it in Bounty Hunter then. They've got loads more different ways of getting emblems these days. So if we
You
were to
know
do it
what?
that way...
If it's in a bird's nest, which I think like most people miss anyways, and it also gives a message saying you received the ornament kit, and then they come back to find out they missed it. That's not bad.
So
How many people are going to be so salty that they just
You
miss
can't
it? It's like
AFK woodcutting
mills.
anymore.
And
although something that
ruins
falls
AFK
out of a
woodcutting.
tree and lands on your axe and just paints it automatically. Of course, when you paint it gold,
Like a pet drum.
Do birds' nests have clues in them?
Yes.
Yeah.
some do,
So why don't we
some
add it
don't.
to the clue drop thing then? And
Well,
then it
be-
matches up the other
But
clue
no,
drop
it doesn't,
thing.
because they drop to the floor too.
No, I mean we add it to the clue
Table.
the clue rewards. So you get
Oh,
the
so
clue
we put the ornament kit on a treasure
But
tree.
might as well
Yeah.
just give it to them. Unless they don't have the requirements to do that.
To be fair, I don't think this is a bad idea. I like the way I think it's suitable from coming from nests, and then you have to do woodcutting to get it. It's
Yeah.
Why is a bird
I don't
flown
mind.
along, picked up this ornament kit and put it in its nest? Oh,
Magpie.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
You answered
that,
the
that
question.
picture had a
Yeah,
picture of
I
an
did, yeah.
axe in a nest. Like, it wouldn't be an axe in a nest. It would be some sort of.
Yeah.
That'd be one big ass bird that's managed to get a whole hatchet up
So
there.
we've got to start adding some magpies into game to make it work.
All right.
We've got magpie implings.
we
Yeah, interesting.
we've concluded we like the idea. There's one guy in the chat just saying moving on all the time. So
Yes, yeah.
for that guy, there's another suggestion. Juan says add a rotten potato shop next to the Grand Exchange so we can shame beggars.
A rotten potato. You're not getting on any of those.
I think he
rotten
means
tomato.
rotten
Did I say
tomato.
tomato or potato?
You said potato.
Maybe not that one.
You know, you can make your own rotten tomatoes, or indeed rotten tomatoes, in a compost bin by filling it with tomatoes or tomatoes and letting them rot like compostable things. You can make as many rotten tomatoes and tomatoes as you wish for free.
But they're not at the
Or-
Grand
I
Exchange.
was
I
gonna
can't
say,
imagine why the heck you ever would, but the code is there for it, and it's been there ever since farming came out, and I only found out a couple of years later.
I'm going to tell a boring story to do with tomatoes. I was
Moving
ordering
on.
some shortly after
I wanna
moving
hear
here. Shortly after moving here in Canada, I say tomato. Here, you say tomato. Over here, I was ordering something, but I said, "Could I get that without the tomato, please?" And he's like, "Okay, so without the tomato." And he said it the way I say it, and he's like, "Wait, that's not right." I'm like, "You said it the right way. I got him." That was it.
Got him.
So
Yeah.
being Canadian can be contagious.
I've got a better story.
Yeah.
I used to work with
Oh,
a
no.
guy from the West Indies, and he had a really thick West Indian accent. And every time you spoke to him, you would immediately start imitating his accent. So he'd come up to you and he'd go, "Hello, man, how are you doing?" And you'd reply with, "Hello, I'm doing good, man." And completely accidentally, just fall straight into his language every single time. It's brilliant.
Why did you tell that story?
the copying of accents. So we had a discussion about what would happen when you know if when one day you can teleport and you can move around the world, accents will start disappearing, and what accent will we all have? Will we all have a generic accent, or will we all go to the strongest
Nah.
accent and all sound like West Indians?
I've been here nearly 3
Mod
years.
Tom
I
H,
ha-
can
I
you
still
type
have
moving
my
on in the chat, please, so we see
What's
it?
that? I'm moving on in the chat.
Yeah,
Wow.
I do that.
Johnny says, could we see more shoulder pets like the one in Monkey Madness 2? Maybe the parrot from Brimhaven Agility course costing 1,000 agility tickets, or an octopus from an activity in Fossil Island.
An octopus on your shoulder. That's not where you put an octopus.
Wasn't there a penguin quest that got you an octopus on your head?
Yeah, I've got to think. I remember that. Yeah. Let's not do that.
Well, the monkey, isn't that in your cape slot?
Cape slot.
So
Yes, the monkey on your back.
it's not really a pet. It's more a fake cape.
It's a backpack.
So what else might want to go there? Dandruff.
I do like the parrot idea.
Yes.
Parrot works. Octopus. I don't know what I feel
Given
about that.
the thing is, the artist managed to solve the render order issues for that monkey, which hopefully means that the render order issues are now solved and they wouldn't have to do anything really complicated to make another one.
I
It
don't
would just
know.
be a parrot-shaped monkey.
I don't know if 1,000 tickets is perhaps the way to go. Perhaps the same price as the hook, or whatever that is. Is it 150 or 300? I can't remember the exact number, but 1,000 tickets might be a little excessive.
But for
Yeah.
a parrot on your shoulder,
Fashionscape.
Maybe Captain Izzy actually loses his power at that point because he bought his.
So what happens if you go speak to Captain Izzy when you've
He's
taken
gone.
his power?
He's had different dialogue now.
It would come
Is that my parrot? No. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Wildy says, could we see some superior Slayer monsters in the wilderness? Maybe add Bloodvelds and Pyrofiends to Crystelia's assignment list.
We'd have to find a place to put them.
We could stick a cave underneath the old bounty hunter crater area from that era.
Can we then call them revenant creatures?
Can they drop PvP armor?
But that could be an addition that we do to Revenant Caves if it has superior Slayer versions of those.
Yeah.
As far as Wilderness Slayer has gone, I've seen nothing but positive sentiment from that. It seems like one.
Yeah, it's brought a lot of, a decent amount of activity to the wilderness.
Yeah.
Bring a lot more people out there. If you go check the poll now, we've also got the Dragon Bones dropping from players. And noted if you've got the Wilderness Elite Diary, that's I love that idea. I mean, coming from it, because it, again, adds a little bit more activity.
I think that one needs a little support if it's going to go anywhere. I think it might be sitting a little lower, like 71 or something like that. It's an interesting idea. Oh, it's just depressing. I like that idea. Moving on. Tash says, could reanimated monsters count towards our Slayer task?
They're already dead. But I guess you can say that with some other tasks, can't you?
Zombies.
They could. And you'd then get your Slayer help bonuses against them if that's something that would help you.
But then you'd be able to purchase the heads to complete the task.
Yeah.
Slayer Masters don't believe in the
Not very
reborn.
keen on that.
Yeah.
I don't really like viable Slayer
Yeah.
task completion.
Yeah.
Very good
Indeed.
point.
They already do.
Well, that's all right then.
Solve that problem.
Oh,
Komori says, can you please update the items lost on death interface to reflect the status of untradeable items like ornament kits?
I think you were in there last time.
I was in there
Remember it
last.
being-
What does it do now?
if you die with the ornament, if the item with the ornament kit drops to the floor, it splits the two as to an item and an ornament kit.
And you keep one? Or?
No, I think it drops both
See, the
because it's not an item of value that you would keep anyway.
Death Keep interface displays the items you physically have.
And doesn't know about items that turn into other items.
It does not. That happens later. So the interface displays, are you going to keep this Armadale Godsword of Ornament kit? Or are you going to lose this Armadale Godsword of the Ornament kit? And that will display in either of the two sections, depending on which. And then later in the system, when it's actually dropped, it makes a decision whether it needs to split them and drop them or not.
So we'd need to sort of rip out the entire items kept on death thing and try to write.
It's a
something that
fundamental
reproduces
change, I think, to the whole
death.
system.
A lot of work for not a lot of payback.
And I don't really see why it needs changing, because you still use the Armadale Godsword of Ornament kit, regardless
So,
of.
good point.
Someone's saying, Inferno teaser time, that will come shortly. Don't worry. A couple more questions from the chat then. Dillard
Can I-
says,
Say my thing that I want to talk to them about.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, look at this
Yeah.
fancy little
Yeah.
red
I've got a
book.
little red book, so I wanted
yeah,
to make
don't
sure I
read
didn't
what's
forget
on the front
anything.
of it.
I was going to say in the beginning,
Yeah.
but we just kind of moved on.
We did,
Must
moved
have been
on.
the moving
Yeah.
on.
This is actually interesting. Well, I hope you find it
Oh,
interesting.
God.
So, is that cool?
Oh,
That's
Stole,
nice.
it stole it from the PR team.
We need some of those.
Yeah.
says
yeah.
softening.
Yeah.
Raider.
Anyway, yes, okay. So
You read it
I haven't
backwards.
been on here for 5 weeks that we spoke about when we were muted earlier and you couldn't hear what we were saying. The reason being is I've been doing an awful lot of stuff. And I was sitting there here this morning thinking there's loads of really cool stuff that I'm doing and that we're doing as a team and that we just haven't told you about. So I figured it's probably about time we told you about what's going on with the team, with the game direction, with other stuff that's going on. So, beginning of the year, my boss came to me, who's Mod Mac. He's the product director and in charge of all the products within Jagex, and said, you know, Old School over the last 4 years has become really important to Jagex, really important to the business, and we've got to do much more to it this year than, or support it much more this year than we ever have in the past. You know, which is great news for us, great news for you guys. Something which is a very, very, very. It makes me feel good. I think it makes all of us feel good because all the work we've put in over the last sort of 4 years has come to fruition, where we're getting an awful lot more support. So we've seen that so far this year with two QA people joined the team. We've opened up 2 content roles. We've got an artist has joined the team. We've got 2 CM are coming to the team as well. Marketing managers joined us. Have I missed anybody? We've got an events manager, which is helping the events team support the competitive gaming stuff that we're doing. So that's an extra 10 members of staff this year alone, which is quite fantastic. And the team is growing hugely, but within the controls and the realms of what Old School should be, which is beautiful. We've got a whole load of tech projects going on, that many of which you haven't heard of at the moment. Some are secret, we can't talk about. Some we can. One in particular is the Australian servers, which has been going on now for 12 months. And that's something which the IT team are pushing forward to make sure we can get the Australian servers up and running. The current progress with those is we thought we had it all working. Turns out the routers aren't as good enough. So routers are being shipped over there and are being need to be set up over there as well. So that is happening.
Just a quick interjection. The world map was one of those. One of those tech projects that's come to fruition, and the engine team is working on a lot of things for us.
Exactly, yeah.
Just not all of them we can talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So, World Map's another one of those tech jobs, resizable interfaces, something else that's being worked on by them. So the support we get from around the company is absolutely huge. So even though they're not embedded in the team and they're counted as part of an Old School team, we've got 3 people in the engine team working on stuff for us right now across a multitude of projects, and they're very excited, and they're beginning to talk to you more, as we've seen with Mod, Atlas, and Mod Genesis. That's it. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. They're talking more and more with you guys, so they're all getting involved. So things are getting really big and really quite exciting. And throughout the course of this year as well, we're looking at what we can do with Deadman mode and the success we've had with that. It's been a massive success for Old School. We've seen an awful lot of people look at Old School and get really excited about it. And we're going to continue working on that. We've got plans to take the game to TwitchCon as well, see what we can do there. These are all things we're working on. Nothing's finalised yet, but hopefully we can get the game to places like TwitchCon, places like Insomnia, and build an on-the-floor presence there, which is taking the game that you guys play, that we make, that we all love, and taking it out in front of the world and being proud of it and saying, this is our game, this is the stuff we're going to do. And I'm really excited for the stuff we're happening. As we said today, we're taking Deadman to Los Angeles, our own unique RuneScape event in America. It's the first time we've done that, and it's all very exciting. So there's a huge amount of stuff going on. I'm trying to think if I've covered everything. I think I have. Yes, there's a huge amount of stuff we're doing this year, and a huge amount of stuff that goes on the background that you don't see, but I don't want you guys to think that that not everybody is doing as much as they can to make Old School the best it can be. We love the game. Everybody in the team loves the game. Everybody works every hour that God sends, and then some. They're here at the weekends. They're here working late at night. I get texts at silly o'clock in the morning by people saying, "We've got this problem. Can we sort it out?" And then we're all trying to get these things working. So I'm sorry, but yes, including Ronan. Ronan is. Is he never sleeps? He is one of the key people in the team. One of the big things about CM, to go into a bit of detail about that, the big role in CM is to understand what you guys want. What's what?
I'm looking at this book.
I
don't want to read it.
Book. There's nothing exciting.
I wasn't going to open it. I was just going to hand it.
Yeah, one of the big roles about CM, and this is why it's really sort of an important role within the team, is the role of CM isn't necessarily to stand in front of the camera and talk to you, or post on Reddit, or write news posts. The key role is understanding what you guys want, being able to read everything that you say everywhere, understanding, get a full rounded picture of what the community wants. And that it means reading. And when you're reading, you're not producing anything, you're understanding stuff. And he takes that understanding and he brings it to the development meeting so that your views are expressed in the development meetings when the design's happening, in the marketing meetings when we're deciding the best way to talk to you guys about that, in the planning meetings when we're deciding what is the most important thing we should be making for you. And that is, what Ronan and what the community management team do, is they understand what you want, and without them, we would make the wrong decisions all the time. So that's how important they are. That's all good.
Do you like Ronan now?
Yeah. It is a thankless job at times, but you know,
This is true.
we all know, everybody in the team knows the value that we all bring. We all have our own skills that we bring to the team. And
I think it's fair to say every single person on the team
Yeah.
wants to continue making Old School bigger and better, and it's amazing how much it's grown, both
So-
in terms of numbers of players and the team itself. Like,
There was three of us
just
at one
three,
point. Like late 2013, me, Matt, and Modreach. That was all we got. Now you. And then we had so many we couldn't fit on the sofa all at once. It was quite exciting.
There are-
It's
I
very
think
nice
there
to have
are-
come this far.
There are 18 people, I think, dedicated to the team now. With hires that we're hiring for, we're looking at 24 people for the team, which is what, 6 times more than 6 times what we had before. No, more than 6 times, isn't it? 8 times what we had when we first
such a
started.
mathematician.
Yeah, I did win the Cambridge University Trophy for mathematics when I was a teenager.
Was it for
I've
the-
only used a calculator since.
Was it for the 3 to 5 category?
It was for the 3 to 5 category, yes.
Actually, there's a funny thing we put out in last week's update. We took out a delay from removing furniture in a costume room, and that sounds like nothing. But what's going on behind the scenes for that is that one of the engine devs, whose mod name I regret I can't actually remember. I know his actual name, but not his mod name.
He posts about ducks. He's got a duck as his Twitter picture. That's what I know.
Mod Duck then, or Mod Duck Lover. Anyway, so he'd been rewriting the scripting language under the hood quite heavily, so that we can do lookup checks more efficiently. When you delete some furniture in your costume room, it's first got to see if it's empty, and that meant it's checking: has he got one of these in, one of these in, one of these in, one of these in? There's a lot of stuff goes in some of those bits of furniture. Pardon me. So. Being able to do those checks more efficiently means that we can run the script without it, loading the server so much. Previously, when you tried to delete some of that furniture, it loaded the server so badly that we needed to actually have a delay before running any more script. Otherwise, you got kicked offline for hitting what looked like an infinite loop. It wasn't infinite, it was just very, very long and finite. So with his rewrite of the language to let us do these comparisons much more efficiently, we were able to take out that delay. It doesn't look like much, but it's a huge deal for us, and gets us a little bit closer to something that looks like a scripting language, a real language, which is good for future updates.
Someone in the chat actually posted his mod name, because we forgot it.
marvellous.
It's Mod Moles.
Mod Moles, thank you Mod Moles. Not Duck Clever.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
He's right.
So sort of in conclusion, really, we're doing more stuff. We're taking the game to more people because that's what you guys want. That's what we want. That's what everybody wants. We are bringing in more staff to support it. We're getting more support from around Jagex, and yeah, everything is going wonderfully. It's quite a wonderful time to work on this game and to make the game for you
I
guys to
think
play.
so. Go and follow those guys on Twitter as @Jagex Atlas, @Jagex Genesis, and @Jagex Malls, and I'm sure they'll all appreciate it.
Yeah.
Go and give them a big thank you.
There we go.
I think we have a
That's what I
special-
wanted to say.
Okay.
Anyway,
Am I plugging something?
So,
and after that, everybody go use
Stop.
Twitch Prime.
Jeez. So another reminder, of course, guys, it's the final week of Twitch Prime being a thing. So you get free RuneScape membership if you have Twitch Prime. Again, that is only until Monday the 8th. So many of you have already taken part of it. It's a shame if you're missing out, really.
Yeah,
And
you can also, you don't have to use it on an account straight away. I don't know what the date is, but there is a date that you can keep hold of the code for before you use it. So even if you don't have a need to use it right now, redeem that code and then you can save it for a few weeks' time
Well,
once you
generous
finish
people,
your
yeah.
exams, for example, and you want to use it. So
Perhaps
if you
we'll
get the
mod-
code and don't need it, you can give it to a friend.
yeah,
Perhaps
I think a
lucky
friend's got
enough.
loads of them. He's coming over, isn't he? Can we ask him how many codes he's got?
I think we should probably get Modstone to tweet out when the deadline is for actually redeeming,
Yeah.
so we can get that information out to the players too.
Right.
We got a special teaser.
That being said, we are a bit beyond our limit here. We have plenty of questions to save for next week, but we do have a teaser of the Inferno you've been waiting very patiently for. So we will end the stream with that. Enjoy.